How's it going, guys? Today in Design Patterns, I think we're up to episode 12. We're going to look at the visitor example and how a visitor works. This is a behavioral pattern, and it essentially lets you decouple some functionality from your whatever your components may be. So to get started here and make a little example, I've opened up our project, as you can see here, and I've made a new folder and done the usual with our CMake that we do every episode. I've got a main here ready to go. And for the code that's going to be above this main, as how to design a general visitor, I'm going to include visitor. So we're going to head on over to that header, primer once, and we're going to start the example. So first we need to declare some interfaces and some classes. We're going to need some things to operate on. The visitor is going to need to know about those. So let's just say, these could be anything. These could be whatever you use within your game. I'm just going to call it component A, and we'll make a few examples. We'll go component B, component C. So these are whatever you're instantiating in your class that you want to visit. And that might make more sense later. All right, so we need an interface for the visitor, and it should look something like this. I'll go ahead and get it typed up here. And we need some visit operations in this class. We'll have like visit component. These functions would probably be called more aligned to what they do, but you essentially need to have some functions that these are going to call later, which will make more sense later. And we'll just do it like that. These are all going to be const because they're not going to change anything. They're only going to visit things and run functions and stuff like that. Or they only can do public stuff. All right, so let's go ahead and, well, we want to pass in the element we're going to operate on here. So we're going to go const component A, and what do we can call this element or whatever we want to call it. Call it comp. So we have a visit component A, takes component A. Okay, kind of weird, right? I don't know. Let's make a couple more of these though. It'll make more sense here shortly. See there. All right, so this is the main interface then. Obviously, it's pure virtual. You can't instantiate it. So where do we go from here? All right, well, we'll get back to that, but these things have to be in a certain order because just the way the header order is and it knowing about things, it only knows about things above it. So let's go ahead and declare our base component class. So this base component class, we want to also make an interface. But this one is basically going to have, let's make a destructor here. And there we go. That's just wired. We might actually want one of those on the visitor too, but we're going to skip it. And then we also want to have an accept. So this is going to accept a visitor, and we want to do it as a pointer. Naturally, it has to be a pointer because this is a pure virtual class. So it can't accept a real instantiation of that. It has to be like that. And that's all we need for the component. So we got a couple interfaces here in that order. So now what we want to do is just define what these actual components are. So we can just go class component A, and that's going to be public component. And we're going to have a public method, and we got to make this accept method here work. So we at least got to have that. So we just go virtual void accept visitor star visitor, same thing, const, and then override. And what's going on here with the formatting? There we go, much better. And basically we want to have this one call what you would expect, visit component A. So there we go. Now you can see how that would work if you instantiate component A. If you pass it some kind of visitor, it will call this visit component A function, which they must instantiate. But the important thing here, well, interesting thing here is, all right, so any of these public functions, the visitor can do stuff with. So you want to have some public functions here to do stuff. Let's just, I don't know, we'll return some strings. Say maybe, maybe you have a get name or get something about it and it returns a string. That could be fine. So we just want to go like component A function, I guess. Sure. We don't necessarily want these all to be the same name. That would get confusing, but we just want to return. Oh no, we'll just return component A. So that visitor takes care of that. All right, so let's make a couple more of these. Let's make component B, component C. You want to make as many as you need and for whatever you need. So we'll just change all these to B, and let's do the C as well. Kind of overkill at this point, but this time we're just going to use a quick find and replace. We got to make sure we get these functions right. Yeah, make sure we're calling the right visit. Okay, so we've got all that. Now we just need some visitors that implement these functions. And as you might imagine, we're going to make a class for each one. So we're going to make, let's see, Virtual one's called visitor. Other ones don't really have a name. I don't know. We'll just call it visitor A. These are the real ones. The ones you can actually instantiate. And basically, we just want to have some special functionality for any of these. Actually, I don't want to call these A, B, and C because these visitors could be applied to any of the components. They basically want to do special functionality based on what this visitor is for. So maybe we'd have like, trying to think of something. I don't know. You're going to have to use your imagination. I'm not really coming up with anything, but essentially these would do they would do different things as they visit and have some special functionality. I guess for now, I'm just going to give them numbers. Yeah, instead of letters. That way they're not naturally associated by lettering, because people might think, oh, A only works with A. That's not the case. They all interchange would be the point. So now we just got to implement all these functions here and determine what we're doing with them. So if they call these with, oh, hold on, we made a little error here. Got to actually give these different names. A, B, C, there we go. Okay, so now the visitor can either visit A, B, or C. And we need to give it some kind of function definition. We might just return for now, but yeah, let's do a quick cout. All right, let's make them log. And we're not using IOStream at all until we get to here. So I'm actually going to put the include IOStream right here, which I know seems awkward, but sometimes when you're doing header only stuff, this is how you want to do it. It's just kind of the fact of the header only method here, because this is all getting built into the main, so you care about the order of things a lot more when you're doing it like this. But disregard that overall, because that's kind of a side point just about the way I'm doing this. All right, so let's use cout here, and basically we want to go, well, we'd say this variable comp, and then we call its method, except we're going to call specifically component A method here. That's the one we're passed in. That's the one we have access to. And then we can say, well, we'll put like a visited here. Let's go visited. And then it'll say whatever one it is. And then we can say from visitor one. Cool. And we can basically do the same thing for all of these, except propagate it down, call the right function. This will be B. And this will be C. So you can make as many visitors to do as many special things as you want. For example, we'll make a second one. Let's call this visitor 2, and we'll do some replacing, and there we go. Visitor 2 looks good. Visitor 1 looks good, and you can imagine we could add a third if we wanted, and it'd be fine. But now let's go back over to our client code, run include visitor, so we can start working up an example. And typically when you're doing this, you might have like a big array of things. And you'll see kind of the point is, as we add functionality with visitors, we don't have to edit the components anymore. The only thing we had to do was just one time put this accept method in, and then we can have all kinds of different visitors that do special things publicly. And if you want them to have private access in any of these, you have to do some kind of friend thing. But that's a whole nother avenue. All right, let's do some examples. All right, let's go over to our main, and let's see, how are we going to do this? I guess we could use just like a vector or an array. Let's do an array. I'm going to go off another example I saw that I kind of like this. Vector, it's going to be an array of what? Components. It's going to be an array of components. Oh, I copied everything. And we can say components. Now, what's this confused about? I don't think it knows what array is. I think we got to include array here. Yeah, that's it. All right, now it should be a little happier. Just with an array, we also have to declare how many. Let's just say 3. There we go. Okay, now we're using the array syntax correctly. So 3 component pointers. This is essentially the same as doing it the old way of making arrays, but just, yeah, well, that's fine. So let's instantiate these. I guess we could use instantiation via this method. New component A, new component B, new component C. I don't use this syntax too often because it always feels awkward to me, but we'll go ahead and do it. I always want to do something like, don't you gotta do this? Well, you can do it either way. Either's fine. It understands what you mean. Okay, so we've got 3 components. And now we need some visitors. So let's make some visitors. So let's make visitor 1 and let's make visitor 2 as v2. I don't necessarily need to make them first, but those are the ones we have, so we're making them quickly. And now what we can do is we can go over all these components and run either visitor on them. So you might have a function for this that takes in this array specifically by reference or something, but you could also just go and just write to the for loop and just say const component and components. spell this right. There we go. And then you might run something like, well, we just want to call accept on all of them. And we want to call it on, I don't know, let's say V1 the first time. Now, what's wrong with this? Why doesn't it like this? Let's have a quick look at visitor. We're at our component. It wants a pointer. All right, no problem. So we could do this two ways. We could just do it like this. We could just make these pointers. There's also ways to, we could put a reference symbol on there and it would figure it out too. But let's do this. There we go. Now it just knows what they are. So we can do that first, and then we can go and we can do it again, this time putting visitor 2 on it. And let's just go ahead and see what that looks like. So I'm going to switch this over to visitor, make sure CMake's ready to go. Looks like it is. All right, let's just hit play. We got a warning. Let's check out what we got. Looks like it just doesn't understand what a string is. So let's go over to visitor and find where we first use string. Looks like it's on these components. So let's just include string before that and hit play again. Must have one more error somewhere here. It says component A does not take 0. Oh, yes. We have to pass it the class. So you do that with this keyword. It wants a const pointer to the class of the component. And well, we've got the class. We're inside of it. We just need a const pointer. And this is a const pointer. So we need to put that in all of them. And then hit play. And there we go. We can see we visited A, B, and C from 1 and 2, and that's essentially the whole pattern. And of course, we'd want to clean this up and delete all the stuff. So we'd probably do this one more time and say delete comp, go through and delete. And we are exiting the program, so this doesn't actually matter because it's going to clear at the end of main. But if you're deep inside your program somewhere, it doesn't necessarily clear. We can also do the same one, delete V1, same for these. But it's good practice to do such a thing. And we return 0. All right. I think that's pretty much it. I don't think there's a whole lot else to it. Just study that example carefully. It's going to be the same in general, always, with the visitor. There might be a few different hacky ways of doing it. I was kind of playing around with before, but I thought this is obviously the superior version, so this is the one I'm going to show you. All right, well, I appreciate you guys doing your thing, watching the video, and liking the video and all that stuff. If you want to help me keep making these, be sure to either do all that good stuff, or if you've got some serious financial freedom and just want to help out, or whatever your budget is. I don't know. I don't want to tell other people what to do, but you can also join as a member or join on Patreon. And I also list your guys' feedback about what you want to see next and stuff like that. A whole lot. And also, if you sign up on one of the higher tiers, I'm happy to help you with some code if you want to show me what you're working on or anything like that. So if you're looking for a little of that, we can do that here as well. Just check those out. Hit the channel link, and it's all on the about section of the channel. Alrighty guys, peace out. See you in the next episode. Happy coding.